Sonic the Hedgehog 2. After the blockbuster success that was the first movie, the blue blur is back on the big screen. This time with the highly anticipated introduction of two beloved characters, Tails and Knuckles. To say that Sonic movie hype has been at an all-time high would be an understatement, as each new trailer has caused fans to explode in excitement. When compared to the rocky pre-release of the first movie, it's clear that expectations are much higher for the sequel from day one. Fans now know what to expect and are confident Sonic 2 will deliver. So were Paramount and Sega able to deliver on a sequel worthy of the Sonic 2 name, learning from the triumphs and the mistakes of its predecessor, or does the movie suffer from similar missteps that held back the original? Honestly, it's a little bit of both, in my humble opinion. First off, brief thoughts on the first movie just so you can understand where I sit on the whole matter. I liked the first Sonic movie. It had the right amount of Sonic charm and action paired together with Jim Carrey's show-stealing Robotnik. It wasn't perfect, and I thought the writers could have done a better job coming up with a more creative and unique plot, but as far as video game movie adaptations go, it was definitely one of the best. My biggest gripe, however, was probably the lack of focus, or maybe a better word would be the lack of direction. As if the film didn't know what it wanted to be. Is it a buddy cop film, a road trip film, an action film, a comedy? Is it an ad for Olive Garden? Who or what is the focus of this movie? Yet despite that, the end product turned out good enough, and I left the movie theaters thinking, yeah, I enjoyed that. A little shaky on some parts, but I enjoyed that. If you want my full thoughts on the movie, please watch my review. Yeah, right here. Click it. Going into the sequel, I hope the writers would find better focus, namely on Sonic's relationship with his new friends and his responsibility to save the world, stop Eggman, and less on the humans who I don't really care about. That said, I also expect it to be a good movie just like the last one. It's not like I was expecting an Oscar-winning movie here or anything. It's just, maybe just a more concise and good plot. That's all I'm asking for. Now, I ended up going to the early access screening, the special Wednesday night premiere. It was fun. It was good. A lot more kids there than I thought there'd be. For some reason, I expected more of the diehard fans to be at this, but no, a lot of parents brought their kids, and I kind of felt out of place. It's like, oh, wait, where's your toddler? Yeah, I think they went to go shopping or something, I can't find them. Oh, well, I guess I'll go see the movie myself. That'll be fine. They know how to get back home. But one of the main reasons why I ended up going to this pre-screening, because I like free stuff, and I got a poster. It's a pretty cool poster. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? I like free stuff. So I got that, and got the comic, Comic's okay, I'll be honest. I've never been a fan of the Sonic comics. I know there's a big fan base, and that's probably a big reason why Sonic is as popular as it is now, is because of these comics. But it's definitely a free comic, if you know what I mean. But no, I got this poster. I thought it was really cool. There was also a cup that AMC was releasing, and I was tempted. It was like a Sonic or Tails cup, and I saw it, and it looked like a cool design. A little small, so it's definitely meant for children. And that's when I saw all the kids around me, and I was like, oh, I really shouldn't buy this cup and take it away from the children. It's meant for them. Like, let's be honest. It's not meant for me, for us fanboys to splurge all our money on. I mean, I guess they're expecting the parents to do so, but for some reason I felt bad, and I was like, you know what, I'll let some kid who dreams of having a Sonic cup, I'll let that be their souvenir from this movie. Sometimes you just got to be a little mature, be the adult in the situation and let the kids have their fun, let them have their souvenir, if you will. You know what I mean? What? Kids must really love these movies because, like I said, you see all these merchandise for it and all the kids at the movie theater. It's a shame that they don't have a good game to play after seeing the movie, Here's hoping Sonic Frontiers changes that, because it's kind of hard to recommend they go play Sonic Forces. It's like, oh boy, I love Sonic. I want to see more of that. Is there a video game or something I can play? There's Sonic Mania. You can go play that. Actually, it's a very good recommendation. What about a 3D game? Nope. Don't. Unless you have a GameCube, a Dreamcast, or something, just don't bother. No. Alright, enough with the exposition. It's time for the review. First off, let's talk about the newcomers, Tails and Knuckles. And actually, I'm going to start with Knuckles. I was a little skeptical at first with the casting choice for Knuckles. My vision of Knuckles is not someone who's stupid. I mean, I don't mind Sonic Boom Knuckles and whatever they've done with Knuckles lately, it being kind of dim-witted. But my image was always from, well, I first saw him actually in Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles. But the one that I really grew attached to him was Sonic Adventure 2. And he was not dumb. I would say he's a bit naive, but not dumb. But I did think he was cool, like kind of the mission-focused kind of a guy. And I know that's what they were going with when they casted Idris Elba, but I also wondered, was he going to be too cool? Was he going to be too suave, too manly? Although I guess, Knuckles can be manly if he wants to. I don't know why I was so skeptical, because after seeing the movie, I'm like, wow, he nailed it. He did a great job. I mean, yeah, he sounded like himself, I'm going to be honest. He sounded like himself, but also someone who was maybe a bit foreign, not British, but like someone who not from our world. So I think he did a good job there. I mean, he's a great actor. But I think that the deep British voice ended up helping Knuckles and his characterization. And as the story went on, he went from someone who was more serious and bad A to someone who was kind of naive and silly in some aspects, especially by the end. And I really like that. I really appreciate that. Great casting for him. Also with Tails and her voice actress, Colleen O'Shaughnessy. I mean, the voice of Tails. That was another one that, well, I mean, of course I wanted her to come in and recognize that even video game and anime voice actresses can be in the same limelight as these Hollywood actors. I was just wondering how her voice and the way she acts as Tails would meld well together with Knuckles and Sonic. And it did. It worked really well. I think voice direction obviously plays a part in that, but Colleen O'Shaughnessy is definitely a professional, and she does a tremendous job as Tails when he has any screen time. I'll go more into that later. So Knuckles and Tails, great additions, and by the end of the movie, you just see them really bond well with Sonic, and I think that is what this movie needed to be. So I'm so glad that they're there and they were able to add so much to the movie. Sonic obviously is still great. Ben Schwartz still nails it. He really owns up to the Sonic name, and he's just a funny guy. In some cases, he was stronger, but in other cases, I felt like they took a step back in the writing. There was a lot of pop culture references, but I feel way more so than in the first movie. And I get it, he's a kid, and he's probably watching a lot of media and whatnot, but gosh, there's a lot. Like, that was his go-to joke, was to reference some old movie or Oprah or something. That was in the trailer, not a spoiler. I wish that there was less pop culture references and more just natural wittiness, kind of like a Spider-Man situation, And I'm sure there's some people who defend it. It's like, well, that Sonic's supposed to be corny. It was like, yeah, well, so is Spider-Man. But he's not using pop culture reference all the time. Here and there is fine. That's okay. I can't believe I'm using Marvel to compare with Sonic. Maybe that's not the best course of action, but I'm doing it anyway. I think they both have the same sort of wittiness and humor that should mirror each other, and yet I think Sonic kind of takes the easy way out in some of his jokes, so bit of a step back there. However, there is also some great learning moments for Sonic in how he gains friendship and understands more about who his family is and that kind of stuff. I really like the direction they went with that. So some negatives to take from the Sonic in this one, but definitely a lot of positives as well. Robotnik, again, fantastic. Jim Carrey does his thing. A little less showtime for Jim Carrey, I feel, this time around. And that's mostly to do with the fact that you have two new characters in the limelight, as well as some other factors we'll talk about later. But when he is on the screen, he does well. And I think he carries on from the progression to insanity that happened in the first movie. So you might find him a little more insane in this one, but I think it's a logical progression when you think about what his state of mind was in the previous film. Keep that in mind when you go into it, and I think you'll find his performance is much more enjoyable, especially the first scene. The first scene with him, I really like it. It's good. The overall plot was a lot of fun, I felt like, and it had more structure than the first movie. In some cases, there was a goal to reach to, there was a reason for why they were going on adventure, like what they were trying to do. Whereas in the first one, yeah, they were trying to get Sonic back home or something along that. Actually, I can't quite remember, but it wasn't as concrete or as definitive of what they were trying to do. And it had less to do with the humans in the world. That was the first movie. And in the second one, it was more about, Sonic and his world entering our world. That's a kind of a generic way of describing it, but you'll see as you watch the movie. I like the story. However, this movie does suffer from a few of the missteps I felt like the first movie had. And it mainly has to do with the humans. I like Tom and Maddie. I actually liked their role in this one, and I felt they deserved to be there. And actually wouldn't have minded if their story went a little different direction, but still had a similar amount of screen time. Where it ends off in the message of the film, I think it was very strong. A great moment for them and Sonic. But the rest of the side characters are just a burden to the film. And I'll go into specifics in my spoiler section, but I'll leave out certain things in this one. But I do think that they are still relying too heavily on the human side to fluff up the film, when they could be really putting a lot more emphasis on really, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and give them the more screen time and more development. Don't be afraid. I don't know why Paramount and Sega are just like, most of Paramount probably. We got to make sure the humans are at play, What, are you afraid of scaring the older generation? Like, what? They're sitting to see a blue hedgehog go really fast. Like, I don't think it's going to matter. That's just a minor gripe, and to be fair, it was pretty funny, the scene I'm thinking of. But I do stand by my opinion that they did not need to be in the film. Put more focus on the trio, the reason why we're here to see the movie. Action was great. Oh my gosh, the final sequence, I think, is exactly what the first movie didn't quite get. It was good, the first movie, and how it ended, but this one, the way it ends, it just ends just epically, and it's perfect for a Sonic film, I think. So you're gonna enjoy it. Oh my gosh, I know I did. I think, for the most part, it was an improvement on the first movie, although not a great improvement, not a substantial improvement. So I guess set your expectations. Like, don't think it's going to be the best movie ever made. I mean, maybe it will be for you. But I do think that they're taking the right steps forward. And, if there is another movie, they let the plot and let the characters shine more instead of trying to rein it back with low-hanging fruit jokes and plot points that are really inconsequential to the actual movie. And with that, I think we're ready to get into spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie, please skip to this one right here, before I blabber all about it. Okay? Okay. Here we go. You ready? Okay, here we go. The Mad Lads, they did it. They're going to put in Shadow into the next movie. Woo! I played some Sonic games before Sonic Adventure 2, but that was the game that I played consistently, and it was kind of my go-to one of my go-to relaxing games. Just because you could play a level so quickly, and I loved all the levels, even the Knuckles fighting the Chaos Emerald levels. I loved it. But Shadow, Shadow. I know how emo may not be the word, but brooding and life is so terrible, Maria, and all that stuff, Maria. But I loved it. Gosh, my teenage self just really enjoyed Shadow the Hedgehog. Was I preteen then? I can't remember. But I'm super hyped to see what they're going to do with him, and if they're going to add anything from Sonic Adventure 2, like the plot or the characters. When you finally see Shadow appear, the theater just went screaming, like, yeah! So, which made me feel good, like, okay, there must be some other adults here besides me. And there was one guy all the way in the front that I could see who was standing up. Yes! Yes, I've been waiting for this moment for 5 years! Now I can finally live! Or something along those lines. It was, oh my gosh, it was kind of pathetic. I think he was just overreacting. I pray he was overreacting. But, okay, I say pathetic, but, if your favorite character gets into something, like, you feel really happy, you feel good. And, I'm glad that his favorite character is there. And I'll be honest, I really like Shadow, so I was pretty hyped. Let's talk about the actual movie and not the post-credit scene. The final fight with Robotnik and his giant robot. Oh, so good. That action sequence was phenomenal. And the moment of, are they gonna live? Like, what's going to happen? And how he, holds Tom and Maddie together before they pretend to get crushed, he being Sonic. I really like them. Obviously, they're going to live. I mean, come on, they're not going to kill Sonic. But the fact that he transforms into Super Sonic, ooh, just a perfect implementation of that, and just how overpowered he is in that moment. Just basically waves the robot down and destroys Robotnik that way. Oh gosh, so good. I can't wait, if that appears in the next movie, to see more of Super Sonic in action, and maybe versus a Super Shadow, if you know what I mean. It was cheesy, but that's how Sonic is. Sonic is cheesy. And overall, I think the action was great in this film. The moment where you see Knuckles, Tails, and Sonic running together reminded me of Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes! It would have been great if the song was playing, but I guess not. That was awesome to see, and Robotnik's new robots that he brought into the fray. Just awesome. And oh yeah, the Sonic and Knuckles fights were pretty fantastic, CGI-wise, like phenomenal fights. I really like the message of family and how Tom and Maddie have kind of become parents for Sonic. And I like that. I like that acknowledgement and how they're there to support him. I did not expect a family-focused thing, although I believe these are the same producers of Fast and Furious, so maybe I shouldn't be too surprised. Family. It's about family. And not just the family, but also the bromance and the brotherhood of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. I like that message. However, I feel like it was underutilized, and that they should have put more focus and show more of Sonic and Tails becoming best friends, and maybe a little more of Knuckles getting into the mix. Yes, you only have such a certain amount of time, but there were some scenes, that dancing scene went on a little too long, and I think they could have either taken that out and replaced it with something that was a little more entertaining and a little more understanding of why they would bond over it. And also the wedding, all that wedding stuff, get out of there. Like, what? Why is this here? Let me see Sonic and Tails really bonding, or Knuckles and Tails having more of a moment, or all three of them having more of a moment and growth. I think Sonic and Knuckles really got the most development here, because they had been fighting each other, and then they save each other in the water, and then they had that moment on the beach. But even then, that could have been given a little bit more, I feel. But I think that's nitpicky on my part. But Sonic and Tails, I really think they should have had more. And maybe not just them, but Tails should have been in the movie more. And he was like practically unconscious for the middle portion of it. Like, come on, guys. And that's why I think the humans are an issue to the movie, like a detriment, because you have to make sure you put everyone into the movie and they have their spot. They shouldn't be the focus. These humans, we don't care about them. I mean, maybe you do, but I don't care if she gets married or if she gets her revenge or not. Like, it's funny. I'm talking about the sister, Maddie's sister. It's funny and all that, but it took away from what the movie was supposed to be about. That said, through the wedding, we did get the introduction of Gunn, but, I think he could have introduced them in a different way. It's nice to see some of the pieces coming together and the references to the games. One scene I did love was Robotnik getting off the planet. It was so great. The whole introduction, it was basically the first scene of the movie. It was the first scene of the movie. And how he gets off the planet and tricks the intergalactic guests into helping him escape. It was great. Robotnik showing how clever and brilliant he is, and also insane. I love it. So good. Speaking of Jim Carrey, because there were so many characters there, he didn't get as much time to be his evil self. But when he was there, he really put on his best effort, I think. Especially when he got the Master Emerald and did all of his amazing shenanigans. Excellent job again by Jim Carrey. I really hope he doesn't retire after this. If he feels he's fulfilled in his career, good for him. But it would be great to get him for one more film. See him play around with Shadow and Sonic's group one last time. And maybe be not the villain. Maybe be on Sonic's side briefly as they try to conquer a common enemy. Just like in Sonic Adventure 2. I don't have my hopes up because he does seem somewhat serious about this retirement thing. So we'll see. Lastly, I'll just talk about my thoughts for what Sonic 3 could potentially be. Unsure if Jim Carrey's coming back, like I said, but if he doesn't, perhaps the Stone actor would take up the mantle of Eggman, and maybe not be Robotnik, but just, use his technology and maybe work with Shadow in some way. But then eventually they have to fight greater evil. I really think that'd be a fun way to bring Shadow into the mix, where even more so than Knuckles, he is kind of this adversary, but then towards the end they come together and fight, but then he still remains this aloof, villain-ish anti-hero, if you will. Will they bring other characters? I think Amy is a strong possibility. I don't know how she'll get into the story. It'll probably be less, oh my gosh, Sonic is so great, I love him. It would be less fangirly and more maybe a legitimate reason why she's on the planet. And I think it's probably better for her character if she's less like that. I think it would be a bit of a shame if she doesn't end up having a crush on Sonic and they don't have some jokes that way. It's supposed to be cheesy, right? Like, let's make it. Let's do that. Just don't overdo it. That's the problem that Amy had, is that it was just too much. And she was just kind of the Sakura of the Sonic universe. Was that a bad comparison, Naruto fans? Like, is that not okay? Anyway. But my biggest hope for this movie is that they don't really ever focus on the humans too much. At least Tom and Maddie can be there, and maybe they help Sonic get to certain places or whatnot, but I don't need them to have much of a role. It should be the Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and then how they interact with the new characters. That's all my thoughts on spoilers, so let's move on to my final thoughts. As far as video game movies go, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is certainly one of the best movies out there. Great cast, engaging plot, fun action, faithful to the source material, while also creating its own version. There were some hiccups, although I will admit I have been a little nitpicky, but I honestly think it's a good film. Slightly better than the first film. Adding Tails and Knuckles with Sonic is just enough to put this film above the first, even if they felt underutilized. If you enjoyed the first film, you're gonna enjoy this one, let's be honest. It's really just kind of more of the same, just improved upon. I'm positive the movie will do well in the box office, and that means Sonic 3 will be out before we know it. Although Jim Carrey has mentioned going into retirement after Sonic 2, so I wonder what's going to happen, but let's just not think about that. It's hard to say, but for the time being, let's enjoy the two movies we have. Relish in seeing Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles together on the big screen. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go have a chili dog. At Olive Garden! Aha! Gotcha! Thank you so much for watching. What did you think of the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie? Did you enjoy it as much as the first one? More than the first one? Did you think it was crap? I mean, that's fair too. If you liked what you saw, please consider watching my first review of the Sonic movie, or any of the other content I have on this channel. Granted, it's not really Sonic related at all, it's definitely more Nintendo related, but you can expect a Mario movie review whenever that comes out, supposedly this holiday season, so please look forward to that. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Whether it be a movie to rival Detective Pikachu and the two Sonic movies, or an absolute dumpster fire, I'll have that review. Goodbye, you good people. I like Detective Pikachu. Haha.